This is a garden update for July 17th, 2016. It's another beautiful morning here in northern New Brunswick. We've had some really nice weather the last week or so. Not a lot of rain though, but I was able to water the garden yesterday. So everything's looking really good. We're going to start in the orchard again like we usually do. This is the heart nut tree. A lot of new growth, looks really good. And we were able to get it mulched in, even though not completely keeping the weeds at bay. It's doing a pretty good job. And probably just dump a couple more bags of mulch on there. And we have the other the other heart nut tree, and this one is doing really well too, although all the growth is coming from underneath the graft, so I suspect that might mean the graft didn't take, but the tree's alive, so happy with that. You can see the horsetails taken over out here too. I'm gonna need to get rid of that. Got that in around a couple of the trees. Over here we have the elderberry tree, and I didn't think that was going too well last time, but we've got a little growth at the bottom, so that is coming, albeit slowly. And the second elderberry tree, same thing here. Both those little sprouts at the bottom there are connected to the tree, so we've got some new growth. And pretty happy with that. This is the mulberry tree, and I don't know how well this will focus, but you can see in the middle of the screen there's 3 mulberries. There's a few others down there. Looks like there's some ants. No, not. There's a few others down there. So maybe we'll get to actually try a couple mulberries this year. And that looks like something burrowed its way into. That's disturbing. Something burrowed its way down into yeah. Well, I don't know what that is. But the cherry tree's still here. Looks okay. So I'll just cover that hole up, and hopefully nothing comes running and screaming out at me here. You're gonna see me run and scream if it does. Just by reaction, because I'm not really scared of anything. Yesterday, I was lucky enough to have the most wonderful experience. I was sitting in the garden, and 2 hares came bounding out of the woods right about there. And I was sitting over in the raised beds about 50 feet away, and 2 hares, one after another, about 2 seconds apart, just shot out of the woods. And they landed about 15 feet into the yard. They jumped so far, and they looked like just young adolescents. They were so thin and wiry and athletic, and they bolted up the yard all the way up to the end of the yard by the trees there, and then they bolted back into the bushes, and they did laps coming out again down here, and they did like 3 or 4 laps chasing each other, and they were having the best time. And I sat there so delighted by the paradise that we have here as we get more and more wildlife. Mind you, a moment later I was like, oh no, stay out of my garden, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm not sure they live here. I think they might have just been passing through, but it was a delightful experience nonetheless. These are some wild roses that we have that go around the whole property. I wanted to show you. I love them. They're so pretty, and they just grow everywhere. It's just like a giant floral arrangement with all the ferns and the wild roses and some other pretty things, and just the flora and the fauna. I love my yard. It's fantastic. It really is. The funny thing is, when we bought this house, it was April, and there was really not a lot going on in the backyard, and I just knew this is where we needed to be. So it's my tamarack tree. We have 3 tamaracks, and all right next to each other, and I love those as well. There they are. Yeah, so anyway, I digress. So here's the, we've been using the compost pile that's been here for 4 years, and we finally started using it. We don't use it on the vegetables because we used lawn clippings in it, and it could be the odd bit of dog poop, so I need to start a clipping-free pile that's just yard waste and garden, or not yard waste, just garden waste and vegetable trimmings and stuff. We have the raspberries over here. This is actually kind of a better view than the other side. There's a lot of weeds we really need to go through, and we kind of let these go to hell. And I need to water too. The raspberries are there. They're really small though, but they're still quite green, so I'm sure they'll grow bigger as they ripen. But yeah, I was happy to see berries on those. Of course, as I get down to the road, the traffic starts. These are the White Carolina pine berries. We did get all the horsetail taken out of the bed, and found we had 6 plants left, which are those dark green ones. We also, I got at the nursery, there was a big sale, and they had some strawberries, 3 different varieties in a $9 package. But the strawberries, you know, you got 3 plants, but then with the runners, Then with the runners, you know, each plant had at least 2, if not 4 or 6 additional plants on it. So, you know, strawberries, if you don't know how they propagate, they send out these things called runners, and it's just a long kind of an umbilical cord, and then another plant, and this plant will actually take root right there, and you can even put a little dirt on top of it to make sure that it does. And once that little plant takes root, you can cut the umbilical cord, and that plant will be able to survive on its own. And then here down here, there's another one, and that'll just keep going. That runner will just keep going and going and going. So you can see I've got quite a few runners out. So I suspect by next summer this bed will be completely filled with those plants now. It's the blueberry bed. I trimmed both of these back, and you know, it's a good thing. They both really started some great new growth after that. We have some lettuce in this bed. This was another one of the beds that had mostly the horsetail. I cleaned it out once, and now it's coming back, and I started cleaning it out yesterday, but it's quite tedious, so I'll finish it today. This is a sweet potato bed. Sweet potatoes, they look a little better today than they did yesterday. They're not coming along very fast. I mean, I don't know what's going on underneath the soil, but we don't really have warm enough summers here for sweet potatoes, I suspect. So I think next year, if you know, if we don't have good luck this year, I think next year I'll build a little hoop house greenhouse over a couple beds and try growing them in those. And I think that might help. I'm hoping the cucumber beetles haven't made it over here. I was just telling someone how I haven't had cucumber beetles in a few years, and lo and behold, I have cucumber beetles, so I should have knocked on wood. But I don't think they've hit over here yet. So they're quite far away over in the in-ground garden, so maybe we're lucky. But I did notice those plants over there in that bed, in the blueberry bed. I threw a couple cucumbers in, and they did have them, so. This bed I planted some odd brassicas in. I left a package of seeds outside, and they got wet and all sprouted. So there's a bunch of radishes and kale and mizuna and arugula, and I just chucked it in here in hopes that it wouldn't go to waste. And down here I planted more beets because the horsetail took over the beet bed, and there wasn't much left. Which is right here, the beet bed. And the horsetail's going crazy again, as you can see. I'm going to work on getting that out of these beds. today. We have the potato bed. This one hasn't blossomed yet. A couple more weeks, I suspect, because they're later potatoes. And this bed is the shallots, and then there's a few beets on the right there, and then some over here. Some parsnips up there. I did have parsnips planted down here, but they didn't. Only one down there in the corner, and the rest didn't come up. So we've got some rutabagas here. They're starting to look good. And then we have some kale down here. Some of the kale's getting nibbled on, but some of them look just fine. So as long as they share. We have the other potato bed here. Half of these ones did flower. The blossoms have all fallen off since. No sign of potato bugs yet. Knock on wood. So, they look good. There's a garlic bed. We did harvest the scapes from the garlic. Got about 3 pounds of those. And if you never had a garlic scape, they're just a long curly flower head that comes off the middle of the garlic, and you can, if you trim them off, it helps get the garlic size up, 1, and 2, you can eat them. They're like a thicker garlicky green onion, and you can saute them or pickle them. I think we're going to pickle ours. The asparagus bed truly needs to be weeded and mulched, and one of my new goals is to get a wood chipper so that we can take care of that pile of stuff back there, and do the back to Eden style of gardening, which is using wood chips to mulch everything in, and therefore having to water less. And I don't know, it's the movie was interesting. There was a lot of religion and stuff in it that I wasn't really jazzed about listening to, but the theory of the gardening theory, minus the religion, was really valid. So the rest of it was kind of drivel, but to me anyway, solely my opinion. We got some asparaberries here on the asparagus, and I think I'll harvest a few of those this year and maybe see if I can plant some asparagus from seed in a new bed. We have rhubarb over here. Again, I'll need to weed that soon. Weed it and throw a couple bags of manure in, maybe, or some compost. It's dying back for the season right now, so I'm sure it'll be back even stronger next year. That's the end of the, well, maybe not all the wooden beds, I guess. Over here we have a bed full of carrots. Now I won't use the carrot, for the carrots I won't use that seeding square next year because it left patches, and I don't really like the patches. I'd like to have this just, I'd like to have it look like this everywhere, and then just thin, but next year we'll skip using that for that. But everything else I really liked using it for. These are some miscellaneous kale that came up. I planted half the bed with kale and half the bed with sorrel, but no luck on the sorrel. So I'll just plant some lettuce back there or something and try the sorrel again next year. These are the Jerusalem artichokes. They're a good 3 feet tall now. This is a new watering wand I got here on the laying in the grass, and it works great. I love it. I think it is on. It shouldn't be on, but yeah, it has a bunch of different settings, and yeah, I really like it. I made quick work of watering the garden yesterday. This bed is the horseradish, so I think that's coming along well. It's the first year I've never grown horseradish before, so I'll just probably leave it there and harvest it next year. Excuse me. Sweet potatoes on the right here. A few extras, and the rest is most of the rest is an herb bed. I did throw some extra down here in the lower left corner, some extra shallots, and I think there's a marigold up there, but the rest is all herbs. There's some parsley, a couple different kinds of thyme, and a few sages, and a couple oreganos. So, and this bed is a flower bed that kind of excited about. The back row is those big tall sunflowers, and then some dwarf sunflowers in the second row, and then we've just got a little bit of this, that, and the other thing. Some zinnias. There's calendula you can see flowering in there, and some zinnias, some I think black bachelor buttons, and a few other things I don't even remember what. Some are perennial, some are annual. We'll see what comes up. This is a nice little Korean lilac bush I got for Aaron on sale. So we're going to find a spot for that. And here's Mom's petunias. They look really nice. I really enjoy these African sunset, they're called. They're like a salmon. I don't know if the color will come through right. They're like a salmon color, and then some of them are kind of a lighter pink. Some of them are deeper. Some of them have a lot of white in them. They're beautiful, and they're all so different. I really like them. I'll grow them. I'll probably grow them from now on because they're really pretty. Let's see. The bleeding hearts are blooming again. That's going to get moved to a flower bed. Aaron's got 2 flower beds in the works. One's going to be a raised bed that I still have to build, and another's about 20 feet wide over there that's going to have a rose bush in it. And then we got some of these perennials. There's some phlox, and some false spirea, red and white. White phlox back there, and we're going to put all those in a nice perennial bed, and then maybe some calendula, some things that readily self-seed. And this is the new excitement for the weekend. On Friday the plumber came and put in this real nice tap, and it's really easy to turn on and off. It's got some real nice fittings. Cost us a bit, but it was worth it, I think. Let's see the other raised beds. We have some there's Aaron's rose bush there. It's kind of done flowering, but and there's over past the lilies and the serviceberry tree. You can see the flower bed that she's filling with the compost. It's kind of a work in progress. We have summer squash in here, some yellow summer squash, and some black beauty zucchini. The other garlic bed. Harvested the scapes there as well. We have some chives down here. These are starting to dry. I'll be able to harvest those flower heads soon and save the seeds. And we can plant more chives around the garden. The strawberries I'm really happy with. You can see the just lost a really nice one. You can see they're these alpine strawberries. They're very tiny, but they're fantastic. The dog likes to stick his face in there and eat them. But if you come out and pick them, you can get like a couple cups a day. And then we have the Kent strawberries. And I can't even pick these fast enough. Some of them keep getting molded because, for one, it's a big Easter egg hunt to find them. I picked them yesterday, so there might not be too many. There's one there. There's some nice red ones on the other side. There's some white ones down there. Getting ready. And yeah, we have we really got a lot of berries off these. I'd say we're up to about 6 pints, and I'm having a hard time finding them right now, but see some through there. They're still growing strong though. And you have some blueberry bushes here. These are, I don't know if you can really see all of the berries, but they're amazing. The other side, the other bush is even better. We got the haskap, I already harvested a lot of berries off the hascat, but there's still, you can get down here, you can still see quite a few that haven't been harvested yet. So I'll have to come out and do that because they're very ripe at this point. And then yeah, here's the blueberries. This makes me so crazy happy when I look at that. So these are only third year plants, so good things to come, I suspect. There's one nice ripe blueberry almost there. Yeah, so this side will have more berries, I suspect. Yeah, see, there's a nice ripe one down there. Oh, see, there's a moldy one. See, it's hard to get them all. There are that many of them. So yeah, I only got about 10 minutes left here. And excuse me. We have some calendula. And this is self-seeded from last year. It readily self-seeds here once the blossoms die back. These are all the seeds. These in here, like that's a seed right there by itself. And you know, they every head will have, you know, well, there's another one. Every head will have a pile of seeds on it. And you know, once they turn brown and dry up, you harvest them, and you can plant them wherever you want. And they're very easy to harvest seed from. These are the Brussels sprouts. I must say, I think these are the nicest looking Brussels sprouts I've ever grown for this time of year. They look really good. And we've got some radishes down there. A couple of them look like they're going to seed, so probably time to harvest those. I've been waiting for the lettuce though, but there is some lettuce there. And we've got some mustard greens and arugula and mizuna, but flea beetles nibbled up a whole lot of that. They really like that way too much. We also have some marigolds planted, and in here, amongst the odd weed, there are several different annual, perennial, I don't even know, those are cosmos, a bunch of different things that'll pop up here. I just tossed this annual perennial mix that I had. There's the mint. We'll be practicing a mint relocation program here in the fall. I need to move it out of the raised bed and into a little box somewhere and on, you know, the middle of an island so that it doesn't just keep coming. I haven't deadheaded any of my flowers, so things are a mess. There's the lettuce. I harvested a few of the bigger leaves last night for some mock tuna salad, and they were quite tasty. So and we have some cabbages here. They're getting chewed on a bit. I gotta spray. Wow, they really look like they're getting chewed on a bit. I think there's a couple Brussels sprouts in there too. There's some green and red cabbage. I don't know what's chewing on these. I just barely started seeing the moths, so the cabbage moths. So I don't think it's cabbage worms yet. We have some shallots here, and then the rest of the bed is red and yellow onions, and they're starting to get a little bigger. And we have the in-ground garden. We'll run through that fairly quickly here. Okay, starting up here, we have some ground cherry. Don't mind the weeds in here. I haven't got to most of it. There's a couple ground cherries there. I usually grow those from seed, but I couldn't find my seeds this year, so we picked some up at the nursery. These are some marigolds I got from the nursery too. Another ground cherry there. We have the tomatoes. These are really starting to look nice now. They really sprouted up the last week or so. Greened up. We trimmed the bottom there of the plants. Got all the all the leaves off so that to keep the blight down. And so they look nice. There's some that even have quite a few flowers on them, so we should be seeing some tomatoes soon. We got some pole beans here. The Chinese yard-long red noodle bean on the left. They're doing okay, not as well as the Kentucky Wonder Bean here on the right. Those are doing well. And really need to weed down here. I can barely even find the plants. There's a couple squashes that, see, there they are, the little bastards. I don't kill much, but can't do much about these. It's us or them in this respect. So carry everything out of the house. I don't kill anything. Put it in the garden. As long as you're not hurting the plants, you're good to go. But once you start killing stuff that I spent money on, I hate to do it. But if not, they'll lay eggs and they'll come back twice as bad next year. And so we manage it as best we can. We might not get cucumbers this year, melons, but that kind of is what it is. Someday I'll have a greenhouse and I'll grow them in there and less risk. But yeah, that bed is mostly weeds at this point. A few melons. This bed is mostly weeds. Down here we got some peppers. These peppers are doing really well. They're seem to be much better than the healthier than the ones in the raised bed. And we have the celery. That's coming along nicely. And then there's some borage that's self-seeded here. And I believe there's a couple watermelons. And I think there's a couple more in here somewhere. Yeah, there's one little guy over there. There's another squash here. Got chewed up pretty good. Just gonna check and see if there's anything on it. Yep, see, just gotta check all the undersides of the leaves and brush around, and they cling for life. Not that you can really blame them, but yeah. Okay, so there's see if I can get that little guy in. We got cherry tomato there. So those are starting to come. More volunteer borage. The squash looks like it got big enough before they annihilated it, so we might get some off of that one. Those ones too, those are all butternut squash, I believe, maybe delicata. Got the green, yellow, and burgundy bush beans in here. And on this side we've got some basil, mostly lime. I planted a basil mix and almost everything that came up was lime, and then we got that little Genovese one over there on the left at the farmer's market. And then we have some more tomatoes. Some are flowering. Some aren't, but they all look good. And, oh, apparently I missed this row entirely. We have the corn. I gotta go through and weed that. Corn's another thing. I don't know if we really get a hot enough season to get much here. And I don't plant it on time either, which doesn't help. I think I need to plant it indoors maybe first. And peas are flowering, so we'll see some peas soon. Those are snow peas. And we have green onions are starting to get big enough to use. I trimmed a few last night and used them along with some dill. And then we have some cilantro. I think I'm making burritos today, so I'll trim that cilantro. There's a little rope cilantro down there. This is the parsley. This is the parsley that had gone to seed. It's second year. So I'm going to harvest the seed off that, and then we have this first year parsley down here, some flat down here, and then the curl is up there. And then we have oregano. That's a perennial. Those are starting to flower. They're really pretty when they flower. Um, that comes back every year, and I should cut some more today because we could harvest a lot of it. Tarragon, that needs to be harvested. It's getting really tall. Sage needs to be harvested and dried. We have a lot of sage plants. Sage is a perennial as well, and rosemary, which is supposed to be a perennial, but mine did not come back for some reason. I think it's a perennial to a certain temperature, and beyond that, not so much. And then all we have left is the last row over here, which we have some struggling little melons and a few squashes. We'll see. I'm trying to keep the cucumber beetles off them. And down here we have some also struggling cauliflower and broccoli. Not quite so sure why those are having such a rough time, but they just aren't growing very fast. A couple squashes up here that are relatively unscathed. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I believe. So that's the July update. Things are coming along pretty well, considering we got started pretty late. And we'll see how things progress over the next month or so. We still have a couple months left of growing season, so I wanted to show you these real quick before I go. These are the fruit trees that I haven't had the chance to plant yet, but they're starting to come back. They're just some cherry shrubs and some chum trees. These ones got a little too thirsty, and I don't know if they're going to bounce or not, but we'll see. Anyway, that's your garden update for July. Thank you everybody for watching.